All right, are we ready to roll here? I think we're live, Hawk.
Chuck, are you there?
Yeah, we're back.
Can you hear me, Chuck?
Yes, I can. And we should be back in live. Is everybody back right now? We are
Chuck,
sending it back to everybody.
are you there?
Oh, I can hear you. Yes.
All right, can the people out in the world out there, can you hear me? Making sure I'm coming through right now. I've had some crazy weather down this way, and I apologize. Hey, Chris, can you hear me okay? Chuck seems to be...
yeah, I'm hearing you fine.
Popping in and out.
I'm popping in and out, really?
He's not spinning up. Can you hear me, Chris?
I'm hearing you fine.
I may be having some internet issues tonight. Okay, you can hear me. All right, so while we're trying to get Chuck back in here...
Can you hear me?
I can't hear Chuck, so I'm not sure if it's the weather.
Let me jump out and come back in
I know
again.
There's some rough stuff going around right now, so I'm not sure if he's dealing with some stuff. But I do want to kind of just jump into some of the things we had talked about, or we're talking about right there. Disney just sent me a cease and desist. No, I'm just kidding. They really didn't. But let's see if Chuck pops up.
Works better now. Does that work better now?
Still spinning up like he wants to join, and he's
I'm
not
here.
Coming in. Can you hear me, Chuck? Anyway, one of the things that, you know, as we're talking about Disney and Universal, there's so many cross collaborations right now. So do they come to an agreeable deal where, you know, as was suggested earlier before we lost the live there, that you could use the rights of the MCU and then Universal would stay with the traditional
Test 1, 2
characters. So does that happen? Could it happen? Yeah. You know, could there just be a straight buyout? That's a possibility. You know, you're talking the potential for like cross IP licensing.
Hello, 1, 2, 3.
Getting across IPs and getting licensing where Disney does throw a couple IPs their way based on what they have. That's also a possibility. It's interesting to think about. You know, it'd be neat for Universal to get like a fresh family-friendly type IP to reboot, you know, themselves, and Disney as a result could expand Marvel, possibly, to Chuck's point, bringing in a fifth gate. I would personally far prefer a fifth gate of Marvel over Villains Land. I don't know, because it doesn't Sony still. I believe they do.
All right, Hawk, do you hear me now?
I don't know what is going on with Mr. Chuck tonight. He is in and out, in and out, in and out. So I'm not sure what the status is there. You know, there's a couple things that they could definitely do, though. What would be most intriguing to me that I wanted to talk about and kind of touch on with Chuck is, you know, a joint development of a Florida entertainment district between Disney and Universal. You know, bringing in like dining, shopping, interactive theme zones, you know, acquiring rights, all those types of things I think could be potentially pretty amazing.
All right, let's
Chuck
see if this one works.
Spinning up on me here.
All right,
but
so for
you know,
some reason my other doesn't work.
If Disney were to acquire Marvel's IP rights, Universal could keep the naming rights and a stake in the venture and get paid a percentage of revenue from Disney. So do you create a revenue sharing plan? So many different options that they could do for this. It really is kind of cool. And I'm curious to what some of the people out there in Facebook world, Facey Space and YouTube, what do you think? Like, what would you be most excited to see? Would you rather see Disney get full ownership of Marvel and be able to just do it on their own? Or would you rather see some kind of collaborative effort with Universal maintaining some of the rights, but giving up the exclusivity on the, east of the Mississippi, where Disney could then have free range to use all their characters?
It's an interesting concept.
I am not hearing Chuck.
You are not hearing me. Anybody else hearing me?
Is anyone else out there hearing Chuck? I cannot. Are you guys all hearing me? Because I'm on
a couple of different mics.
My location. How much Chuck could a Chuck talk? Chuck?
Yeah, really. Are you guys hearing me at all?
Where is Chuck?
All right. Chris says he hears me. Okay, perfect. So
Chris, you can hear Chuck?
Yeah.
Or you hear me?
I can hear both of you. You're hearing my click right here because I'm on my second one right now. Let's see, I'm muted. So it's an interesting. While Hawk talking here,
and see if I can see and hear.
It is an interesting concept because
you can hear both.
Hey, are you guys hearing an echo? Because I'm hearing an echo of me. Are you? Am I?
So if you can hear both of us, I'm going to let Chuck go for the next 5 minutes, and I will talk to him at 8:58 because he's not currently coming through. So Chuck, go ahead and share some of your thoughts on what we're talking. And
I think there's a possibility there because there are some opportunities where you might have. You heard an echo earlier, but fixed it now. Okay, perfect. There may be an opportunity where we're talking about some sort of shared concept where. Try this. Can you guys hear off this mic now? Are you guys hearing me off this microphone now? I'm not sure if you are or not. We had something funny happen when the stream went down, so can't hear me now. Okay. All right, so we'll do this one then. Okay,
Chuck, try to go again and see if you are good to go.
All right, so Chris says he can hear me now off of this one. So we'll stay on the phone. For some reason, this particular one is not liking it. Okay, so anyway, Hawk was talking about this idea of some sort of shared bit. Did we lose the whole stream? No, Hawk's over here. Okay, we're still on. Yeah, I've gotten bumped out of that. I'm just gonna go out of there.
This is the first.
Yeah, you can probably hear me now. I'm going to turn my sound up now that I can. There we go. All right, Hawk, can you hear me now? I'm not sure if you can. So with all the IP that Disney has and can use in, again, back to the Fox stuff, with all the TV stuff that they have, that may not be things that Universal necessarily wants for TV and all that kind of stuff. But they could use that for theme park stuff. Again, look at The Simpsons. That's a classic example where Simpsons television is over on Disney Plus, but yet Simpsons theme park is over on Universal. So there are more ideas that they could do. And again, I'm kind of talking back to some of the other IP that's out there. Futurama and Family Guy is a great example of that, where they are, fun properties and, definitely more up Universal's alley than, frankly, Disney's. As you guys know, I mean, Family Guy and Futurama are a little bit edgier. And so there are things that I think could definitely be more associated and be something that would be more resonant with a Universal style audience than necessarily a particular Disney audience that is a little bit more family friendly. So Hawk is going to jump in here in a minute. Kind of bummed that we're not able to kind of get things together here right now. I'm not sure why the stream is acting the way it is now. Chris says it would be interesting to see a sort of collaboration between both theme parks, and I agree with that. I think there may come a point where you could see, I would even love to see something so much as an interconnectivity between the two, like some sort of ability for guests to park hop, as it were, between Disney and Universal. Look, think of it this way. Have you ever been out to car dealerships? Have you ever noticed that they're all next to each other? Why is that? That's very intentional. Car dealerships often locate next to each other because they collectively all win, because folks are coming in their car shopping and they're all going to come to one place to shop for a car. And sometimes they're going to go to Nissan, and sometimes they're going to go over here to Subaru, and then sometimes they're going to go over here to the Ford or Chevy dealership. But they're all close together, and that helps these dealerships collectively get more business. Well, the same kind of concept I think could happen in the theme parks, where you have Disney and Universal recognizing, look, yeah, we're competitors. We're competing for the theme park guest audience, but at the same time, together we may get even more than we would independently on our own effort. Does that make sense? And so I'm wondering if some of these collaborative efforts might be worth it. Now, getting back to kind of the topic of the show tonight about Marvel, I'm wondering if there may come a point where, because Universal is kind of pinched in when it comes to Marvel, they really can't put some sort of, Chris says he'd all be for some sort of park hopper between both parks. And I'm with you. It's the same way. It becomes challenging to hop between the two parks. And so if there was a way to make that a little bit more feasible, I think that would be an awesome idea. But to bring, because the Marvel that Disney is doing is the MCU Marvel. That's the movie Marvel as Hawk was talking about. What Universal has is the old comic book, and I say old, I mean, it's not old, but you know what I mean, is the old comic book style Marvel, where those characters, some may not recognize those characters because they're not comic book people. You know what I mean? They won't. The fact that if you saw Deadpool Deadpool and Wolverine, the comic book fans went bananas because Wolverine was actually wearing the yellow and blue X-Men comic book outfit. Before, Wolverine was always in black or whatever, or something like that. It was the movie version of it. So, I'd be interested to see what Hawk wants to say here. Let me see if Hawk is listening here. We're trying to get connected here. I'm not sure. Again, I apologize, folks. I'm not sure what happened to how the stream got kind of messed up, but so we're continuing to try to get things.
Yeah, I can jump in and share some stuff for sure. I think there's a couple of points, and I was watching a little bit while I was muted. So I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I apologize if I cut you off there, Chuck. But your talk on car dealerships, and that's a great point. To everybody's coming to Orlando for theme parks. I mean, you've got SeaWorld here, you've got Universal, and
let's see here. I think Hawk we may be running into some trouble again with Hawk. Oh, there you are. Hawk, you still there?
Yep.
Okay,
so
there you go. You paused for a minute.
So I think, some of the things going on right now with the parks, potentially being able to collaborate would be a pretty awesome thing. Universal's got a lot of pros to sell Marvel as well. I mean, They just spent $1 billion on a new park, a major cash infusion for them. Not that they're not getting one. I mean, expected revenues are, as I've seen reports, as high as potentially $2 billion in year one for Epic. So, they're getting their cash infusion, but I'd like to see, a potential additional cash infusion could be a huge benefit for them. Freedom to reimagine some park space. Disney right now is reimagining pretty much something in every park. You've got Magic Kingdom going through it. Epcot just wrapped up with Test Track. You've got Animal Kingdom doing their new land over where Dinosaur was and that whole area. So there's so much going on that if Universal had the opportunity to retheme land right now, think about how competitive that could be and what that would do to infuse the market in this area as well. Because Universal is out of space at Islands and Universal Studios. So the only thing they can do is retheme stuff. And there's still a lot of land in IOA currently with not Journey. All I'm thinking of is SeaWorld because we were there this weekend. Not Journey to Atlantis. What was the Poseidon's
Adventure, I think is what you're talking about.
Yeah, Poseidon's Adventure. That's still closed and that needs to be rebranded over there. They've got the huge show that used to be in the back corner behind the fountain. That whole auditorium is still currently sits empty. There's a ton of stuff that could be done there. They've got some space, but I'd love to see them get a new IP and just really rifle into something. And that could be a huge competitive factor for Disney and Universal to kind of push each other a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's interesting you talk about that because when it was something I was mentioning earlier, I'm not sure if you heard it or not, Universal's very limited when it comes to what they can do with Marvel.
Oh, yes.
And so, the ability, I think maybe Universal is I think holding the cards right now because they have something that Disney wants very, very badly.
But do they? Like, I'm going to be honest. Like,
does Disney want it badly?
Yeah,
I think so.
But do they? Because
here's
the weird thing, and this is to play the devil's advocate on the other side. Marvel has not been what it was for the first 20 years. That first run from Iron Man and when the MCU really kicked off up until,
Marvel has struggled since Endgame, yes.
Yeah, I mean, definitely since Endgame. They've had one or two others that were pretty good, but definitely not getting the blockbuster hits they were getting before. So does Disney want to?
I think they do because I think they still do want it because, you still have a lot of interest in the historical Marvel. And with Doomsday and that whole new bringing Doctor Doom in and all that, I think you're going to see a resurgence.
Hopefully.
We have a little dip in Marvel right now. Thunderbolts was we've had a few misses with Marvel lately. I think once we get to Doctor Doom and that whole series, it's going to take off.
Does that work? Because Doctor Doom's going to be interesting because there's a lot of people that are really concerned with, you're recasting another iconic character. Like that can flop. And
they're doing a multiverse kind of thing with it. So
I understand the concept, but I still think it could still flop. It's still, you're still treading on. You're messing with my Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Well, there's that. I mean, there's a risk.
So there's some interesting thought in that, but I think to your point, Universal is bound by creative limitations. They've got what they can sell, what they can't. if they sold Marvel back to Disney, obviously that releases them from the constraints they're currently facing, and they could go into a new realm with something else that may be able to open up. They could trade rights for Disney-owned property. That's something I think Disney would have to give more than they'd want to in order for Universal to give up Marvel. That's definitely a factor. But one plus for Universal with making the deal is if they make some kind of gracious handoff, obviously they're going to get paid for it. But if they do it graciously and publicly, Universal could get the reputation of being, an innovator, a step up, like really acknowledging that, hey, we'll let you have it because we're competing with you on our own now. Mm-hmm. We don't need to hold this over your head.
Yeah, we don't need your stuff. We have good stuff of our own.
And and maybe that does open the doors for a more collaborative nature. Now, the con side for Universal through this whole thing is they do lose a top IP brand that they've had for years. And it would change the landscape of an entire theme park that was built, when IOA came out and doing it. Those themed areas that have to be revamped, what's that cost? That's going to have to be figured in.
Well, Disney might foot some of the bill for some of the retrofitting that would have to take place. That may be part of the deal.
Like a sports contract, like I'll eat the cost of you having to revamp it. If you
you laugh about this, but
no,
there's precedent to this.
I'm laughing because that's a great point.
There's precedent to this. How did Disney get control of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit? They traded Al Michaels to NBC for it. So there is some precedent.
So what's going to be interesting is what's this do to the fan base? Like, is there a short-term visitor drop if they give it up? Do people, because here's the other thing now, we've seen it made quite clear across the board in the theme park realms that fans' voices are now heard loudly and clearly, and parks make adjustments on that. And they don't always make the right one, but they do cater to what fans are saying. They're watching social media. They're looking at how does this affect our numbers, bottom line, of course, like anybody would. But is there a short-term visitor drop? Do they lose guests for giving in? Is there an element of that, or does it create more excitement and they gain guests? That's a potential that no one really knows. You know what I mean? Does Disney gain a competitive edge if Universal gives this up? Because does it widen the gap right after Universal closed it? You know what I mean? So, like, what's that do to that realm? And then, on the other side of it, the Splash Mountain effect, right? Long-term people that have been coming for years, that have that nostalgic tie to Spider-Man or Doctor Doom or the Hulk. What happens when those come down? You're already ripping down Rip Ride Rocket this year. If you go take the other icon coaster out of the other park, does that alienate guests?
Well, I don't know that you would necessarily rip it out as much as I think you can retheme it.
Okay.
I would think that, because there's been a lot of infrastructure they put into, to Hulk, into everything else. I think they could probably retheme those pieces into some new IP.
To my daughter's point, though, with Hulk, like Hulk's one of those. So Disney's very focused on hiding backstage, for the most part. Now, when you get on a big enough ride, when you ride Slinky Dog, you can see things that, because of the height. And same thing with Tower of Terror. There's things you see in certain places. Riding the Skyliner.
I was about to say the Skyliner, you fly right over backstage. But.
You get to see a lot that they've never done that. That's a great idea too. Do similar to what they're doing over in Hollywood and make it a Fast and Furious coaster.
Yeah,
as long as you rip out that Fast and Furious ride that's currently there, that thing can't go away fast enough. I'd rather have a year-round sucky Chucky house like they did a couple years for HHN. And I'd rather have that Chucky house year-round than Fast and the Furious that rides
Well,
on.
again, that goes back to what I was talking about before of, other IP like Walking Dead. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a popular attraction. And before we went live, we were talking about, Halloween Horror Nights and the whole Las Vegas thing. But, and Hawk had brought up a point of, does Halloween all year long work? Vegas, maybe not. But I'm wondering if in Universal it would work, tying it to The Walking Dead, because that is such a popular series.
I mean, and honestly, they could make deals for other things that they could bring in there. Even if Disney didn't offer IPs, you could make, you could buy stuff out. I mean, those two companies, I don't want to say have carte blanche on buying stuff out, but they're pretty darn close. If anybody's able to get them done, it's, NBC Universal's right up there. I mean,
yeah.
So I don't know.
Here's going to be the next question is, I'll be bluntly honest with, as we're recording this, Superman had its resurgence, had a massive opening weekend. Who's making the bid for all the Warner Brothers property things now? Because, that's another major success story. And granted, you've got, I guess, Six Flags that has a Superman attraction right now, but that's about it. Who might make a big bid for Warner Brothers titles?
And there's some other interesting points too, because you almost wish for the collaboration between the two where they could come to agreement to say, you hold the classics, but give us the ability to use them in their MCU versions of themselves. Because one of the other things that's a potential problem with overtaking Universal and trying to make changes or plans is the simple fact that, like, if you integrate or replace legacy Marvel with MCU, you risk fans being alienated yet again, because the core fans, you're going to tick people off. And honestly, one thing I will tell you here, there are a ton of people that are both Disney and Universal people, but there is a huge percentage that is one or the other. So if you eliminate totally Marvel from Universal, you risk alienating part of your Universal fan base that really enjoys Marvel. So, ideally, in my viewpoint, I think it's something that you would want to see, a collective effort to collaborate and then build something great for both parks, like update Marvel at Universal Studios, have the freedom to create an MCU park if you want to, or land, or however you choose to do it. But I would like to see Disney almost do it in a sense where we'll give you X amount of dollars, and then for the next 10 years, you get, 5% of everything we sell related to Marvel. Then following that, it goes down to 3% for the next 10 years, and then 1%. And 30 years out, they're on their own IP and done, or whatever that consists of.
I think a phased out kind of concept would probably be the most feasible way for Disney to wrest Marvel control away from Universal, or at least to get a much more open and unlimited bit. Tom brings up a good point. Scooby-Doo would be a great pickup for Universal. That would be a good pickup. And then Chris also says would be something for one of those parks to buy into DC Comics and make something out of that. And as we talk about the fact, the Marvel MCU lately has struggled a little bit, where the DCU or DCEU had been struggling, and I'll say May, we've had one movie so far, but may be having a resurgence. Interestingly enough, speaking of Marvel, who was it but the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, James Gunn, that is now giving new life to Superman. And if you haven't seen it, it really is a good film. So it's an interesting concept. You guys keep kind of sharing your thoughts out here. One of the things that I think is that I really do like this idea of some sort of collaborative bit between the two, where
you could make it, if they could find space to do, you're literally almost talking about taking Disney Springs and City Walk, merging them together with restaurants, shops, bars, licensing, everything, and you create that auto mile in Orlando where
wouldn't that be amazing?
could you imagine? And then you have everybody bring in some level of attraction, or that could just be absolutely,
it could be absolutely wild. It could be wild. And a almost like a third collaborative area where they still have Disney still has Walt Disney World and Universal still has Universal.
No, exactly.
Come together and build this third collaborative space, almost similar to what Disney is currently doing or will be doing in Abu Dhabi with that whole park. Because that is a collaboration with a theme park developer there.
I think that's a little different because that's happened before in other countries where they've hired a third party to run or develop or build.
True. That's Tokyo Disneyland. And
so that's a that's a little bit different than what we're talking about with this, because this would be a true collaborative effort. But I mean, think about it. How many times have you gone to like Disney or to City Walk, and when you're on vacation and you're like, oh, I wanted to grab that thing at Disney, we're not going all the way back over there to get it. Or I wanted to get my Harry Potter wand, but I also want to get my lightsaber. And oh, wait a minute, we can go to this, new spot, the theme park auto mile, and go in and get what we need to from either park, get our souvenirs, get the little taste, have preview centers for both establishments. You could really market it well, do movies from both places in a movie theater there collectively, have characters out and about from both parks, and just you get the revenue from your stores and attractions that are in that area. They take the revenue from the other, but I can almost guarantee you're always going to be packed. Because, I mean, if you could go do both at the same time when it comes to souvenir shopping, dining, going out.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many people think Universal and Disney are the same already?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, but they really do. I have friends that are like, oh, I booked Disney, I'm going to Harry Potter. I'm like, no, you booked Universal, you're not going to Disney. And they're like, yeah, we're going to the castle. I'm like, hey, wrong castle. So I think that there is so much opportunity, and there's so many ways they could do it, whether it be a transition period for the branding. There's other sides of it that, I think the exclusivity of an IP exchange is probably not the one that's most viable, because even though you brought up a couple great points with potentials, I don't think any of them that Disney would throw Universal's way are touching what would happen with gaining Marvel for Disney. You'd have to give up 5 IPs to get.
Oh, it would have to be a big offer. Yeah. I mean, again, we talked about, Simpsons, Walking Dead, Alien, Predator, Futurama, Family Guy. I mean, it may have to be all of those, and then some cash to go along with that.
Which I think Disney would honestly be okay with, because in the acquisition of Fox and when they bought the media companies, they even stated that even though they bought this stuff, it's not the family-friendly Disney stuff that they would want in the parks. Mm-hmm. It was from an entertainment mindset. So they may be willing to part with those franchises and IPs.
Oh, I think so.
Because as Disney or as Universal always says, we're not Disney. Like they're proud of that fact, and they get a little more spunky with everything they do. And I love that openness. I love Disney as well, obviously, but if Disney could get their hands on the entirety of the Marvel catalog and be able to have unlimited carte blanche with Marvel, I mean, just
again, I think it's a fifth gate. I think that's what's holding them up for a potential fifth gate. I think it would be nothing short of unreal amazing if they could get that fifth gate, that Marvel property. So,
well, doesn't it also kind of like, wouldn't you also think that if they have to put out that much money, they have to build the fifth gate?
I think so, because again, if they're gonna outlay so much in IP and in money, they got to make the most hay with that, and the only way to make the most hay with that is gate number 5. So, while again we've talked in previous shows several times about what would be a great topic for a fifth gate, and some have said, oh, it's time to do villains as a villains park and all of that. I think, frankly, Marvel might be the best option if they're going to do a fifth gate. And so
what if you did something like this, right? Disney comes in and says, we're going to give you $750 million to have exclusive rights to Marvel. We want to buy you out of it. We're going to give you 750 cash, assets, whatever, however they work it out, $750 million. And then they say, Universal, you're going to retain a 5% profit share on any Marvel related merchandise that from what we're acquiring for the next 10 years. We'll give you 5%. We'll also give you 1% revenue from any ticket from a Disney theme park attraction or park that has Marvel in it.
I don't know if they go necessarily to the theme park stuff, but I think they could do some sort of incentive, financial incentive
during the same window, like that same 10-year period.
Yeah, it's part of that is it's the phase out part, and it would give Universal a funding stream with which to retrofit, Marvel Superhero Land,
and it keeps them with a revenue stream.
So it's an interesting idea. Yeah, and again, Chris just said it would be interesting to see a Simpsons Family Guy collaboration at Universal. And again, Family Guy is another part of the current Fox
Get your dog
that Disney has access to.
Get your dog a straw.
Yeah, you can tell the difference when I'm on this microphone as opposed to when I'm on this microphone. So, yeah, for some reason the hawk ticked off the streaming gods tonight, or maybe we both did.
It was probably, to be totally honest, prior to going on the air, I wonder if it was a little bit to do with the test and the altering of mics and changing stuff.
It could have been. We were funny enough, folks, we were testing this out because tune in next week, where, assuming things work, I'll actually be live from Walt Disney World, and we will stream, assuming things work, Disney Dreamlight, because Disney Dreamlight premieres on the 20th. It premieres on Sunday.
We'll be there.
And I'll be there. Hawk's going to be there for the 20th. I'll be there on the 22nd, and we'll be streaming. We're going to try and stream Disney Dreamlights.
Probably Thanos.
Yeah, probably Thanos. Speaking of world, yeah, Chris. But
so Chris, you're watching, and you're not you're more the Disney fan.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a huge Universal guy, but I know you have the interest in going. So what would you like to see happen between Universal Disney? How are the things and ideas we popped out tonight? What one kind of resonates with you that you'd like to see the most? I saw one comment that a collaboration would be cool, but what for you does that look like? And anyone else watching too, what do you feel? How important is it in your eyes that Disney obtains full rights to Marvel so that Marvel can come in full innovation to Walt Disney World Resort without regulation or without limitation, so that we could do anything with Marvel at Disney. How important is that to you? Because I'm curious. A lot of people could care less too. They just want to go ride good rides and have some fun. But my thing is, I just think the potential is so insane, the potential upside. And I think Universal does hold it a little bit over their head, knowing that, they're closing in, and that is potentially the re-separation between Disney and Universal right now.
Yeah, I think we've already seen some Disney collaborations before. Roger Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, was a huge Disney collaboration between Disney and Warner Brothers, and it was, I mean, just incredibly successful. So, to see if that same collaborative concept. Whoop, hold on, the motion tracking is having fun tonight. That whole I think that you're right, Hawk. The potential is off the charts, unlimited, and what the two of them could do together, and it could be even that in this third iteration, whatever we create, there may even be a third whole new IP kind of concept that is developed collaboratively between the two. That could be something just unreal, amazing, because NBC Universal, you got to give them credit. NBC Comcast, they have started to really have some home runs in some of their properties. Again, you look at How to Train Your Dragon, that has really, really taken off.
You ain't kidding.
So,
and I mean, the Isle of Burke, and with what they did, and with the timing of I mean, they hit a grand slam just in timing of that, the live action releasing and everything else. And the park and the land is incredible. I know there's still a lot of skepticism about Epic and the waits and the length of time and some of the engineering faux pas with, ability to handle rainfall, some of the things that have been discussed. But most people I talk to still leave Epic, even now when they're putting 40,000 people in there a day. They're still leaving feeling like, what an amazing immersive world it is to go into, how incredible the theming is. Some of the rides don't feel worth the wait to people, but when you think about it, that was said about Flight of Passage, that's been said about Hagrid's, that's been said, and these are rides that's been said about Guardians of the Galaxy even. Mm-hmm. These are rides that people wait hours for to experience, and they're making it sound like that has never happened before. It's like unprecedented. Well, usually you don't get all 11 new rides at the same time. So, it's been a hot minute since a brand new theme park opened. The closest we had to that was Harry Potter, and that was 12-hour waits the first day to get into the land.
Right. To say nothing about the attractions or experiences.
So, what Universal's done in the past has had a lot of interest in things. And I think Epic will come to reality a little bit. And I think as they smooth out some of the issues, and keeping in mind too, this is phase one. There's already talk of 3 potential additional attractions coming in the next 12 to 18 months. If that holds true, now you're up to 14 rides in the park. That's 11 is not uncommon either. People are like kind of making it sound like that's so few rides for what they built. But look at most parks and count up the actual rides that are in a park.
Hollywood Studios, frankly, doesn't have all that many. I mean,
it's not what you think it's going to be. It's always more surprising when you start to count down and go, oh, well, there's 2, 3, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12. And then you're like, oh, that's close to epic. So, things are changing. Things are also always evolving. And it's going to be fascinating to see where this goes. I hope they can get something done. Chuck, what are your kind of final thoughts?
Yeah, as we kind of wrap this up, I think that I'm going to be the optimistic one. I think that it is only a matter of time. It's going to happen. It will.
Give me a timeline.
Okay. In the next 10 years, Disney will have full control of Marvel in the next 10 years. I think that I know. I mean, I don't know, but how can you not? I don't see any way where they're not already thinking of this. I'm sure they already have.
So that
how to do this, and it's just a matter. It could be that the discussions have already been taking place, just off and on.
100%, and that aligns with the timeline. If you kind of dive into it a little bit, that Villains Land, a lot of people are saying 5 to 7 years. They want to do it faster, but listen. Tron took 7 years to build because they ran into problems because it's Florida. There's stability issues with soil, ground. You're building on swampland. There's a lot of things that have to happen the right way for things to stay on track. So you're going to have hiccups with this many projects being facilitated at one time by Disney. There are going to be setbacks. There's going to be some hiccups. I think 5 to 7 years, they have completed everything they've currently announced, and that you're looking at going live with this stuff. What's the next big thing? A fifth gate. When can you announce that? You announce that within the next decade. You're still staying relevant and making changes. Epic is going to continue to evolve with their stuff and expand. And you may even see something else done. Maybe it is a collaborative project between the two. Who knows? But if Disney and Universal team up, I am all in for it. I can't wait.
I am too. I think it could be a quantum leap in the concept of theme park entertainment, not just in Orlando, but frankly, all around the world. You get the top 2 theme park entertainment juggernauts together, and they come together and build some sort of collaborative project. I mean, truly, the sky's the limit. You talk about blue sky. That is some serious blue sky concept.
And
right
and
there.
I want to give a quick shout out to SeaWorld right now too, because I'm going to give them some credit. We went over Saturday and stayed for the night show at SeaWorld. Lasers, music, flames, fireworks, drones. It was incredible and never would have expected it. And they did some cool stuff the way they launched the drones, where they let you see it. So you see the drones take off and come into the sky. You watch them go back away as the fireworks start. It was really, really amazing. And I just want to give them credit for stepping up their night show to rival and compete with what's being done on either end of town around them.
Yeah.
Really, really great job by SeaWorld.
It's been impressive. You're seeing all the theme parks. You're seeing all the theme parks really up their game. And, that was why we wanted to kind of talk about tonight's topic of how Disney could, and I think this is one of the biggest keys to their upping their game, is they have to get control of Marvel. Again, will it happen? I think it will happen in the next 10 years. I would be astounded if there wasn't already some, at least thought, strategic planning, whatever, something that is already taking place to try to figure out, okay, how can we get Marvel, even if it is some sort of shared concept. But Hawk, I want to say huge thanks. We appreciate everybody watching as well. We're on our stream part 2 here. We had a little stream issue earlier tonight.
Apologies tonight.
No, it happens sometimes. We are live some way, somehow, every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. here on our Facebook page or here on our YouTube page. And be sure to tune in next week. We are going to try live from, at least some of us, live from Walt Disney World.
And shout out to any of the people that met Matt on vacation that he has been talking to that may have tuned in to watch. Want to thank Matt for shouting us out on his vacation. He's supposed to be relaxing and he's still telling people about us. So super appreciative to Matt for that.
Absolutely.
And those of you that tuned in because Matt told you about us, welcome. And we hope you tune in again. This was a little bit of a debacle this evening with some technological stuff. First time we've had that problem, but this is the joy of going live. This is what we do. We deal with it and we make the best of it. But thank you guys very much for watching tonight. This was a fun one and I'm interested to what everyone else thinks. So please share those comments on how important is Marvel coming to Disney in its entirety to you.
And be sure to also share out the fact that you've been watching Mousecast, that you enjoy Mousecast, and encourage your friends, your family, anybody else, come join us, be part of the conversation. Again, we're live every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. here on YouTube and also on our Facebook channel. Until next time, we'll see you.
Thank you for listening to Mousecast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show, and joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper